Samantha Ottley, on her way to yet another historic milestone in her impressive career. 5 wins in one day at Timaru, and equalling the record set by Natalie Rasmussen, the first female driver to drive 5 winners in one day.
Showgate leads, 150 to go. On the inside, Beat the Heat, and out wider then is Peggy Nova, and coming through the middle, Love You to do it, but they're not going to get Showgate. Showgate's holding Beat the Heat, and Love You to do it. They'll photo second. Leader is still Man in the Mirror, going to California's half a length away from Sky City King. It's going to California, trying to get Man in the Mirror. He's kicking Man in the Mirror, and he's going to see himself in the winning post mirror. Stellar Success's range to the lead and shot away. It's this girl again, Sam Ottley. Stellar Success clear over I'll Do It My Way, Mr. Majestic and Missy Castle to find out the minors. That's 3 from 4 on Shantae's a length away. Leighton's last, Mr. Midnight kicking, leads on Shantae and Leighton's last, and Sam Ottley's going to make it 4. Mr. Midnight wins from a photo. It's Castle Ray ahead in front of Red Hot Poker, then Don't Look Back. Castle Ray, Red Hot Poker coming again, they hit it. Dead heat or Castle Ray.
For Sam, this is just another record to add to an increasingly impressive driving resume. Right from day one, she was a winner.
So the field lining now for the Peter and Joan Cox pace. Nigel Paul's drawn the inside, the drive of Samantha Ottley, celebrating her 18th birthday today, and it's also her first race day drive.
Sam, the 3rd of August 2008. Significant for quite a few reasons.
Yeah, no, that's right, Greg. That was my 18th birthday and my very first race day drive. And yeah, he happened to be a winner, and Mum trained and owned him, so that was very special.
Nigel Paul, and he had a start only a couple of days earlier too, hadn't he?
Yeah, that's right, at Addington. It wasn't a very nice night there, it was wet and cold, and Mum actually drove him himself, so yeah, she running the money there, and yeah, then she said she was always going to line him up on the weekend just so I could have a drive, and yeah, no, like I say, it was very special that, you know, and yeah, it was pretty cool moments really.
Yeah, well, Nigel was a big oof of a horse, but you know, he could run along a little bit, and we knew that her race day licence was coming along, and I didn't tell her. I just thought, well, we'll see if you can handle him before we tell her that she could have the drive, and she got on good with him at the trials. So yeah, was it the 3rd of August? Her birthday, yep, Nigel lined up at Oamaru and Sam had her first race day drive.
She's drawn 1, and it stands well. Set now. Racing. And the field are underway and standing on the mark, and in fact going backwards is Christmas. He's done it all wrong again. He just does not want to leave with them. He's on the journey now, but he's lost all chance. Leading them out now, we've got Jack a Hotshot to try to get to the lead, but kicking up underneath that is Nigel Paul for Samantha Ottley at her first race day drive at her 18th birthday. She's trying to lead the field.
Well, I remember her having her first drive and at Oamaru. It was the very first drive, and she drew 1, and the horse, it was one of her mother's horses. It actually skipped away for a couple of strides, and she still managed to get it, you know, lob in front, and she had a wee bit of a battle to hold the front early, and didn't panic at the finish. She got up and won by a neck, and I thought it was pretty impressive for a young girl having the first drive.
In behind them, Nigel Paul. Well, Samantha Ottley, she couldn't have wished for a better trip in her first race day drive. She's back along the inside and trailing the leader in a beautiful spot.
He was a pretty cool horse really. He had great manners, which was the key. Yeah, I remember it all very well. I can probably give you the commentary actually. Yeah, I remember we stood around for ages at the start, and nothing worried him. He just stood there and away he went, and he pinged away first, and you know, I led up round the first bend and that, and then handed up and had a little bit of luck in running actually, because I remember I handed to Ricky, and then he handed to the favourite, but coming into the straight the first time it veered out and shied. And then so yeah, Ricky shot back up again, and yeah, so I sat in the trail of the trip and yeah, got up the passing lane.
Huge thrill, not only for you, but obviously your mum as well. I'm sure she was pretty proud that day.
Yeah, no, she was. Yeah, big thrill for her too.
On the inside and trying to stick with it is Jack a Hotshot. Then came Nigel Paul. It got the run along the Julius Caesar passing lane. Midnight in Paris, the leader from Jack a Hotshot, trying to come back. And Nigel Paul is coming quickly through along the inside. Midnight in Paris, Nigel Paul. Here's a great birthday present in her very first race day drive. 18th birthday and all, and Samantha Ottley gets the win. Good on you, girl.
All the stars aligned that day, didn't they? You couldn't have scripted that any better.
Yeah, no, it was just great. I mean, I still remember I was just yelling my head off. Like, it was just so exciting. And like, what a feat. Like, first race day drive on my own horse. You know, she drives her first winner. Yeah, one of many.
Yeah, pretty special moment.
Oh, very, yeah.
Let's wind the clock back a wee bit in early childhood, because your mum was around, your mum and dad, they split up early on, didn't they?
Yeah, that's right. They were together for a long time before I come along, and then they went their separate ways and that. But Dad still loves the horses and follows them a lot, and he's always on the phone most weeks for tips and that. He doesn't mind a bet here and there. So yeah, no, he's still a big part really.
What sort of kid was she?
Oh no, like, it's hard to describe. She was the best kid actually. Like, she was my best friend from day one. Like, poor thing had no chance but to love horses. Like, as a little baby in the front pack feeding up at 6 weeks, and pretty much never stopped.
Geraldine, born and bred. Tell me about growing up as a young person. Were the horses always a big part of your life?
Yeah, most definitely. Mum's always had horses, so she sort of jokes and said the poor girl had no other chance. You know, horses was always going to be her main focus. And yeah, like most girls, I did the pony things and went to pony club and show jumping champs and sprints and trophies and that. And I really loved that. And yeah, it was sort of, I got quite competitive in the show jumping towards the end, and then started working in the stables. And I remember, like, I still wanted to compete in that, but it was just hard to do both with races and that. So I had to make the call, you know, which one I wanted to do. And yeah, so I gave away the riding ponies to focus on the harness horses.
What about schooling for her? What sort of student was she? Because she's indicated to us she was more like a boy, liked his lunch or liked her lunch, liked playing sport, but academically?
Yeah, no, it wasn't really her thing. Yeah, like she was lots of fun at school. She drove a few teachers insane, like very good sense of humour. Yeah, but no, school wasn't really her thing. Yeah, she liked to get home and ride the ponies.
It sort of seems to be a key thing with horse people, wasn't it? Their school days, they sort of say they went there to kick around with friends and sport and eat their lunch, they sort of say. And I was probably no different really. That's mainly what I love my sport and that. I played a lot of sport at school and that, but again, you know, the horses are such a busy, full-on thing that they sort of took over in the end. Netball,
that was your main sport of choice?
I really enjoyed playing netball and that, and I made the rep teams and that in Geraldine and that. So, but again, the horses took over again. You know, I chose show jumping and that over that. So, yeah.
Shooting a few goals. Were they not that tall down Geraldine way back then?
Yeah, no, I did enjoy shooting that, but in the end they said I was far too short to play that position, so I sort of just went wherever I could really.
And your mum was a pretty handy horse person, wasn't she? And in fact, the record book shows that she was the first female driver winner at Forbury Park. Is that right? Yeah,
that's right. You know, Mum doesn't drive much these days. She sort of lets me do it. But yeah, she was the first female to drive a winner at Forbury, so that's pretty cool for her. And yeah, no, it's special moments too.
All right, she worked locally as a young person. I think she wasn't at school long after her 15th, 16th birthday. So tell me about some of her history in the game.
Yeah, no, Mum left school at a very young age and moved up to like Geraldine Way and worked for Sam Esler and that. And yeah, her involvement, like Granddad always had a couple of horses too. Just, you know, they were just scrubbers really, but you know, that's where her interests come from. And then yeah, after that she went and worked for Bob Latimer, and then pretty much just went out on her own and, you know, trained the odd few and, you know, had jobs and that and worked to do the horses.
She's never had a big team. She's always just had a handful at a maximum, hasn't she?
Yeah, that's right. She's just trained a small team, and she sort of focuses a lot on the breaking in and pre-training and that, and you know, she really enjoys that side of it.
Strike rate wise though, it's pretty impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. You know, she actually does do a really good job. She doesn't, you know, they don't usually line up unless they're pretty much on song, and I think she'd have a pretty good record of first starters to winners really. So yeah, no, she does do a good job.
So at what point did harness racing become part of her life? When did she start showing an interest in that?
She was always interested. I was probably like the overprotective mother and wouldn't let her in the cart, but she was forever washing horses, trying to put boots on. Like even as a little 4-year-old, she was trying to put boots on, you know, things like that. But didn't actually get into the cart. She was probably about 12. Wanted to, but I wouldn't let her. But yeah, I mean, she was pretty into the showing and dressage and stuff. Like, she was pretty dedicated. It took a lot of her time.
Further back then, starting to run on is Young Conqueror. Rocky Warrior at the 200 is 3 clear. Bite the Bullet out to attack, then it ain't the money. Rocky Warrior, Bite the Bullet coming hard, but Rocky Warrior all the way. Rocky Warrior and Sam Ottley wins the 2 of Hecker Cup. Sam Ottley on Rocky Warrior for Denise Ottley.
What about the association with Murray Tapper? Did that start when you were still at school?
Yeah, I went to Murray's in the school holidays one time. He was a local trainer and really enjoyed it, and then yeah, just carried on from there. I think I was meant to go back to school and finish like the year, and I sort of half-hearted, mucked around and that at school, and then thought no, like I've got to make up my mind what I'm doing, and went full time at Murray's.
So did you do your fifth form, what is it, NCEA, whatever was it?
Yeah.
Did you complete that?
Yeah, got NCEA level 1, and then it got half a level 2, and I sort of look back now and I probably should have just got it in the end, because I sort of was halfway through it, but it's one of those things that I never really did, so yeah.
Working at Murray's, pretty special time, because along came a pretty special trotter.
Yeah, Stylish Monarch come along the scene for Anne Patterson, and yeah, as you all know, he did a great job, and he was a very good trotter.
Stylish Monarch, a length and a half. Arnica back to the inside. I Can Do's it's trotting on boldly. Stylish Monarch leads by a neck. I Can Do's it's coming at him. Arnica can't reach them. It's Stylish Monarch ahead. I Can Do's it a drive. They hit it. Stylish Monarch's gone back to back. Stylish Monarch has held up I Can Do's it and Arnica.
You spent a lot of time with him too, didn't you?
Yeah, I did most of the work with Fudgy was his stable name, and yeah, I was very fortunate. I had a few drives on him too, and picked up a couple of wins and that. So yeah, he went on to win the Dominion and a few other good races.
Yeah, I think you won at Forbury Park with him, is that right? It might have been maybe even your first drive on him.
Yeah, it was at a Forbury meeting at Addington.
At
actually.
Addington,
so yeah, no, he got the money that day, and yeah, it was good.
Life of the party, the leader, and coming down the outside and finishing on boldly, Wahemo Sam, and the one on the track, Stylish Monarch. Wahemo Sam has got to the lead, Stylish Monarch mowing it down though, and Stylish Monarch has got home to win it here for Samantha Ottley.
Tell me about the Dominion and the feeling that day.
Yeah, I remember it at Addington, and that we're in the barn and that there. It was all pretty quiet. Murray was sort of doing his thing, and I was doing my thing and that. And he had such great manners, that trotter. That's what won him a lot of races. He'd put himself in the right spots and that. And of course, Ricky always drove him to perfection and that. And yeah, that day at Addington, again he stepped away good, and he ended up 3 fence, and he had a little bit of luck. He got out at the right time and powered over the top of them, and he beat a lot of good horses that day. I Can Do's it and a few others there, so he deserved it, that's for sure.
The Fat Controller's running a big race. I Can Do's it's in front. The Fat Controller's getting up on the inside. Late Stylish Monarch. Springbank Bridges wax away. Stylish Monarch. Don't tell me Ricky May again. Yep, Ricky May's won the Dominion with Stylish Monarch. But I Can Do's it and the Fat Controller used.
What did you learn from the experience with working with him and having master reinsman Ricky May drive him? How do you reckon that's helped you?
Yeah, well, as you all know, like Ricky's one of the best that we've got in the business, and he's always there's always another day, and he's very conservative and looks after the horses, which I really like in that, and I've learnt a lot by watching those sort of fellas, and you couldn't help but like what he did for that horse. Like, he wouldn't have won as many races probably without Ricky on.
You've started making your way through the junior ranks at this stage, and an opportunity to move north. Murray only had a small team, and eventually it was always going to be holding you back to some extent. Tell me about the prospect of moving to Canterbury and who you were going to work for.
Yeah, that's right. It's sort of one of those things that you know, there comes a time where it's going to end, doesn't it? Like, you know, and you've got to move on in your career. And I remember there was 2 people that I always wanted to go work for in Christchurch, and that was Colin and Julie DeFilippi and David and Catherine Butt, just because they seemed to give their juniors such a really good go.
After the cadets one day, there was a carload of girls coming back from me, and I was dropping off the girl that was working for us at the time. And she got out of the car, Sam got out of the car and asked if she could look around the place and if I could show her the stables. And I was quite impressed with the fact that she showed a bit of interest. And that day she said to me, I'm going to come and work for you one day. I said, yeah, when the job comes up, I'll let you know. So I think 6 months later at Mochikara, I said to her, well, someone's leaving, so along she come.
I remember this day at Mochikara races, Colin approached me and said, I want to have a yarn to you about a job. And I said, oh gosh, yeah. And then I remember saying to Mum, oh, you know, Cole's offered me a job. And she said to me, oh, because I never wanted to leave home. I was always a home girl and wanted to stay there. And she said, look, if you don't go now, you'll never go. So yeah, that's how that came about. And yeah, made the big move to Christchurch, which was a big move for a wee country girl like me. But yeah, no, it was probably the best move I ever made, really.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like Sam loved it at Murray and Christine Tapper's. They just treated her like family. Like Sam's been very fortunate. But like she knew to improve, she had to go further on, and Colin was just known for being the man, and like it was the best move she ever made. I mean, like Sam had the ability as driving, but Colin just fine-tuned her and you know, the ability and opportunities. And they just treated her like family too, like both Julie and Colin. Like they were just so good to her. That gave her the confidence that she needed to be successful, to become who she is now, yeah.
There's sort of things that I learnt there that you don't even realise you're doing. Like I'd go to the races and do things and then look back and go, oh, you know, where did I learn that from? And just wee tricks that, you know, Colin taught you and you didn't even realise that you were picking up on them.
But Sam came along at the right time and she impressed me right from the start. I think it's 3rd or 4th drive for her. She won a race at Addington here, and I was sitting up the stand. She's about 3 or 4 back one out, and the wee horse called Waitati, who incidentally was by Courage. And she came out and got up and won without knocking it about, and I thought that was a nice drive. Well, the next day she said to me, you know, if I had got beaten, she said it would have been my fault. And I thought, why is that, you know? And I said, why would you do wrong? She said, oh, when I come out, she said, I actually lost a half length. She said, you'll have to show me how to, you know, do it better. So I watched the replay, and sure enough she did. But I thought at least she knew what she'd done wrong, and she's, you know, didn't mind admitting it. So she was always willing to learn and keen to get better, you know.
Bedlam being buzzed up in the trail to get through, and then came Waitati. It's the Perfect Storm in front though. Margin about a length on Bedlam. Waitati's running on. The Perfect Storm and Egg Bedlam. Waitati might bomb the pair of them. The Perfect Storm, yeah, Waitati's got them from Bedlam, and Waitati won at 3/4.
What about as your bosses? How did you find them? And I'm sure that you're going to tell me that it was one of the great life experiences for you.
Yeah, that's right. They sort of treated me like one of their own, really. Yeah. Yeah, no, it was one of the best, like I say, the best moves I ever made was going there, and yeah.
They had some pretty good horses at that time too. A few spring to mind. One we'll talk about very shortly. But Miss Elsie was there, and she was really talented, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was. She'd done a really good job at that stage. She'd gone up north and competed with all the big guns. I think she just got beat one day by Carabella and Better Cover Lover.
Pretty tough era, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. There's always seems to be, you seem to get a nice mare, and then there's always something that's, you know, a one that's a wee bit better at the time and that. But yeah, she was there at the time, and I was fortunate enough to have a drive on her in a juniors race one day, and she got the job done for me. So that was a huge thrill to get on, you know, his good mare at the time and win a race.
Miss Elsie at the 200 is in front by a length and a half on Ultimate Player, who has the passing lane. Cracker Black, and out wider is Matt Maguire. It's Miss Elsie in front. Sanders back in form now. It's clear by 3 lengths on Ultimate Player, and out wider coming home Matt Maguire, but Miss Elsie to beat home Ultimate Player.
Right from day one, she just had a wee bit of natural ability, and she had the right attitude, and you know, she always knew what she wanted to do.
One thing that Sam did do for her bosses was win a special race with a special horse in honour of a special person. Colin and Julie's son Darren, a junior driver, was tragically killed in a car accident returning from the Geraldine Trots. So to return to that track and take out the local cup with Just Rose was, and always will be, an emotional career highlight for Sam and the De Philippis.
You had a really nice mare called Just Rose. She won half a dozen races. I think you won 3 on her and Sam won 3 on her. Colin, there was a most significant win though, the Geraldine Cup. We know why you don't go to Geraldine, and for you to start a horse at Geraldine gave Sam a big buzz, and again to have the confidence to take the horse to the Geraldine Cup, not only go there but win it. It was a huge thrill for her, and I'm sure for you and Julie it would have been as well.
Oh, for sure, Greg, yeah. And it was a good drive, you know, like she just does what you expect her to do, and you know, it was one of the biggest thrills for us.
What about Just Rose?
Yeah, she was just a wee filly that they had there. She did a great job in the end actually. She won quite a few races in that, but yeah, she was very special in the fact that we went back to home track and managed to win the cup on her that year.
McNally sets sail for home here with 4 Stars Flash. Down on the inside, Bitters Fire. Smiling Star, Glencoe VC, the favourite is Gallop. And here comes Just Rose right down the outside. Just Rose may have just hit the lead. Certainly has for Sam Ottley. And Just Rose is racing away with her local cup. Sam Ottley, the main freight Geraldine Cup to Just Rose. Lively second, Smiling Star third.
That was pretty special for a number of reasons. As we know, Colin doesn't drive there these days, but to win the cup for him and Julie would have been well, tinged with a little bit of sadness, but also something nice to do for them.
Yeah, for sure, Greg. It was sort of a bit of a shock that they put her in at the races, and so that was like a pleasure just to take her down there and have a drive for them. As you know, Cole doesn't drive down there, and yeah, to pull it off was unreal, really. Yeah. She had a bit of luck in that, but she beat some pretty nice horses that day.
I mean, she just loves Colin and Julie to bits and just really appreciates what they've done for her, and she still does ask Colin for advice. I mean, actually just even on Sunday at Rangiora, she was calling Colin over to ask him something. Yeah, like, he's just such a good teacher. You
got to drive the Superstar Trotter Stent as well. Tell us about how Colin developed him into being the great trotter, $1 million earner that he's turned out to be, but also having seen Stylish Monarch and then having to be in a stable where they've had the next stable star, if you like, must have been pretty cool.
Yeah, that's right. I remember Cole, he always liked him right from word go, and yeah, he's lined up a couple of times as a 2-year-old. They've sort of trying to make the jewels and that, but I remember Cole saying to Trev, look, I've got a lot of time for this horse, Trev. I think if we do the right thing by him, he'll look after us later on. And so they turned him out, and then they brought him back, and yeah, his record's unreal. Like, he was a lovely trotter and just had unreal high speed and that, and yeah, Cole he always just looked after the horse, and the horse always come first, and Trev was great for going with what Cole said and what they thought was best for him. So yeah, it was just an all-round good team, really.
You also put her on in March of 2013 on your Mighty Trotter Stent to win a junior drivers race, and that same period you got outed. You were on the sideline, and there was a Group 1 coming up. You had confidence to put her on in that too.
Yes. No, I had no qualms, and to Trevor's credit, he was happy to put her on after winning with him, and yeah, she's trying to make me look bad, I think, Greg.
Stent's out after William Lance, who still has a bit of a kick. He's trying hard to match him, but Stent's going too well. Paint the Moon went into third late, but Stent's going to win it. Margin not big, but a win's a win. Stent coasted the line to score by a length, William Lance.
Then you got a chance at Group 1 level because Colin was suspended at the time.
Yeah, that's right. I'm pretty sure I only had the 2 drives on him for the win in the juniors, and then yeah, I come about in a Group 1 race, and I remember Cole saying, at the end of the day, it comes up to Trev who drives the horse, and Trev was very good and said, I'm more than happy to have you driving him, and yeah, we were a little bit unlucky at the time too, because Vulcan actually won the race, but that was when he was flying at the time. He'd won 5 Group 1s in a month, I think, but again, Stent went a super race, and he was so honest, and yeah, got second.
Stent's out after Vulcan, and then Springbank Sam, 100 to go. Vulcan's in front. Stent's a length away from Springbank Sam. It's Vulcan though. Group 1 in Aussie last weekend. Group 1 New Zealand. Less than 7 days later, he wins another. Vulcan has beaten Stent and Springbank Sam.
He gave her first drive on New Zealand Cup Day in race 1, the traditional 3,200 metre trot on Regal Petite, and she delivered.
Yes, I think paid fair money. I was sitting in the stand, and yeah, it was a thrill. It's hard to get a drive Cup Day even now, so good start to the meeting.
Astral Traveller leads in, margin half a length Red Bar. Here's the inside run for Regal Petite, and she hit the gap strongly. It's Regal Petite making the lead over Red Bar. Astral Traveller, O'Nova and Lotta Love arriving late out wide, but it's Regal Petite, and Regal Petite won the first from a close photo between O'Nova and Lotta Love.
Getting towards the India Juniors life, I suppose, as a driver, you set a pretty unique record though. First female junior to drive 100 wins. Where does that sort of sit in the stratosphere, I suppose, of your driving career?
It's right up there. I didn't actually realise at the time until I was getting close, and then someone mentioned it to me, and I was like, oh, I just thought it would have been done, but yeah. It's a record that I'm always going to have, so no, it's great really.
And you got over 50 wins for the season. I think it was about 52 to complete your junior drivers, and I guess then comes a point in your career as to what do you do from here, because you wouldn't have been the first to drop off the radar if you hadn't got into the open ranks and kicked a few goals early on.
Yeah, you see it so many times again, very good juniors, and like you say, they sort of just drop away and get forgotten about a little bit, and that was at the end of the my juniors year. I remember at the start of the season I set myself a goal that I really wanted to win the premiership, and I think it was about the last two months of the season, Colin said, you've really got to go for this, and that's how it come about. I'm really good friends with Lauren Lester, and she was working for the Duns at the time. And I don't know how it come about. Cole just said, oh, we'd do a swap for a couple of months, and that's what happened. And I went there, and they helped me that last few months of the season and give me quite a few winners in that. And yeah, it sort of just went from there.
You let her go with you and Julie's blessing.
We did, although I thought she was coming back. Yeah, they staffed her on me, but she had to do what was best for her, Greg, and. We were only doing a small team, so the opportunity was to, get into a bigger team and get more drives was better.
What did it mean to win the premiership too, to complete your juniors?
Oh yeah, that was huge actually, because like I say, I set myself a goal. I didn't really tell many people, because this season before that, a lot of the senior junior drivers had done their time in that, Zach Butchers and Simon and Josh and that, and yeah, so I really did strive to get that and to pull it off. I was pretty pleased to be, yeah, it was awesome.
What are her greatest attributes, or what were they back then? Was it attention to detail, affinity with the horse?
Yeah, like you could say, like she's a perfectionist, and that has its downside plus its upside. But as far as the horses go, it's an upside, because perfection in horses is really good. But in other things, it does hold her back because she's too hard on herself. But, she's got talent, always has had, yeah.
And you represented New Zealand. I think you were the South Island rep in the white colours from memory at the Australasian as well, so you got to travel as a junior too.
Yeah, that was a great experience to get over there and drive a few of the Aussie tracks over there. And yeah, I was lucky enough to...
That was in Sydney?
Yes, that's right, yep. Yeah, and I run third in that, but it was just a great experience. People that have done it in the past, you have such a blast over there, and you meet lots of people, and yeah, it's really good.
Trying hard at the moment to get on terms as Charlie Dollar with Badovitz, but this has come right away set in stone for Samantha Ottley, and it's much too good. Goes home to win it.
Does it feel like falling for you, falling for you, falling
You were introduced, of course, going to the Dun Barn to beach training for the horses. What were your initial thoughts around that?
So I'd never actually been to the beach and never had a drive before until I went out there and worked. But it's something else really. It's a pretty amazing experience, and not only for us, you know, you sort of get sick of going round and round the track sometimes, and I think it's the same for the horses, and that's why you see a lot of the time, you know, older horses and ones that have been around a bit go out to the beach, and sort of gives them a new lease on life, and you know, their form turns around a little bit, and yeah, it's pretty wicked.
Getting to the end of the 14-15 season, you decided to leave the Dun Barn, and at that point, you didn't have anywhere to go. What were you thinking? Were you thinking that I need to find somewhere, or were you in no hurry?
No, I sort of just finished up at Duns, and I didn't have a job set in stone anywhere, and you know, I wasn't going to panic. Like, I remember Mum saying, you know, there's plenty of jobs out there that you can go to in the meantime, and I remember actually Davey Butt texted me actually and said, you know, I've heard Kimberly Butt's moved on from Mark Jones's, and you know, it'd be a great place to go work, and he said, get in quick, don't muck around. And you know, I thought about it, and there was a few other places that I thought about, and you know, it sat down and spoke to a few people, and yeah, at the end of the day, I went with Mark. You know, he approached me, and we had a good discussion about it all, and yeah, so that's how that come about, and yeah, I started out there in Burnham with him.
She's probably one that always showed it right from day one, Greg. She probably, the biggest thing, you know, I noticed with her, she got taught very well from Colin De Filippi, and you know, Colin and Julie were great to her, and when you learn from somebody like Colin and you know, learn the basics, and she does everything, you know, pretty spot on, it's probably a pretty good start for her.
I guess the irony of that was, within a week of working for Mark Jones, turn up out at Methven, and unfortunately there was a rather decent race fall, which Natalie was in front on a horse called Emmanuel.
Yeah, one of those sort of freak accidents that you know, no one ever likes to see, and yeah, Natalie was in front, and it just slipped turning for home, and you know, there was quite a few of us that just sort of had, you know, nowhere to go, and over the top we went. I you know, initially I thought, you know, of course it hurts, it always does when you hit the ground, but you know, I thought, you know, I'd be fine. I'd just, you know, give me a minute and you get yourself back together. But, you know, time everyone got to me and that, and you know, they must have asked where I was sore and that, and I must have said like my back's sore, but you know, it's all right, I'll be fine. Let me get up. And they said, no, you can't go anywhere. And you know, time they got me actually to hospital and that, and did the X-rays and that, still lying in the hospital bed. You know, I thought I'll be fine. It's just deep bruising and that, but I'd actually fractured a vertebrae in my back. So, you know, I wasn't, and you know, I had to just cop that and on the chin and take it, and you know, you got to do what the doctors say, and that put me out for 6 weeks.
Emmanuel being tackled by the smoocher. 3 wide free falling. Oh, Emmanuel crashed to the track turning in. Stony Air and Gabby's star went over the top, so too Maximus Prime. Nasty fall. The smoocher leads the neck free falling. Sound Swift joining in from Tuapika Art. Natalie Rasmussen is somehow on her feet. Gabby Star's all right. Bobby Butt's on his feet. The horses are all fine. The concern at the moment is Sam Ottley.
Oh yeah, no, that's not easy, especially when you're sitting at home in front of the television. Yeah, no, that was probably the worst moment ever. You know, like I'm just on the cell phone ringing everybody in person I possibly can to find out how she is. But yeah, no, it's pretty scary, especially when they helicopter you out. Like you're thinking, this is not good.
Great start to your tenure at the Overport Lodge, wasn't it? But I understand Mark was pretty supportive.
Yeah, that's right. You know, I remember texting him saying, I hope I've still got a job there after I need 6 weeks. I've just started, but I need 6 weeks off. But yeah, I suppose most people, if, you know, realistic, you know, it was one of those things that just couldn't be helped. And, you know, he was very good about it. And he said, you know, don't come back at 6 weeks. You know, you take as long as you need, and you've got to do things properly because, you know, you've only got one back. And
at this stage, your partner, Stevie Golding, was he sitting alongside your hospital bed with the guitar?
Yeah, no, he was straight there, and you know, they actually helicoptered me to hospital, and he was there with me the whole way. So, yeah, no, it was good to have someone, you know, that you knew with you.
It was pretty awful to watch for anybody, and you know, it's pretty hard on her because it was, you know, start of a new opportunity for her, and But in those times you just got to hope that, their health and that's right, and that's the main thing, and give her plenty of time to get over it. And she was rushing to get back, but time was a good thing, and she waited a turn.
At that time, Mark, you had Master Lavros, so Regan Todd, who obviously is based out at the beach for you at Woodend, he was doing a lot of travelling, so you looked to move Sam out there, and an opportunity arose straight away for her with Rocker Band at the trials.
Yeah, it did. We, she was based out Woodend way with the Duns anyway, so it made it easier, less travel for her there. She started here for a week or two at Burnham and then ended up at Woodend, and with Regan away and the opportunity, and I just didn't go to the workouts one day to drive Rocker Band and ask Sam, and she got on pretty good, so it was probably not a bad one of the first stable drives for her.
I'd only just started back working for him at the beach, and he asked me to go to the trials and drive a few for him, and she was one of them, and she was just making a comeback as a 4-year-old, and he just said, can you please drive these ones, and I'll just give her a quiet run in behind them, and so I did that, and then she went back the following week, and he said, let her run along a little bit, and she tried really nicely, and then he said, I think there's a good race for her down south at Winton in a couple of weeks, that'll be a good starting point for her. And I never thought much of it. Like I never expected the drive. And he said, oh, well, you might as well go down. You've driven her in the trial, so you might as well go down there and drive her. So, I was more than happy to head down there and drive for Greg and Mark. And she came out. It was a mile, and she came out and actually won that and won a track record. I think it was in 153.3 or something. And we went from there really.
Rocker Band's waiting on the yellow bar lane, takes it now. A little wider out there, there's Love to Dream down the outside. Rocker Band through on the inside's gone. Whoosh, Motu Moonbeam is threading a path through the traffic. In front is Rocker Band, Motu Moonbeam. Rocker Band beats Motu Moonbeam. A photo between Salty
Yeah, she drove it great, but I'm a great believer you need opportunities in life, Greg, and if you get the opportunities, you've got to take them, and that's what she done. So, the deal was when she came here, she was a stable driver, and with me not driving as much, she's always going to be number one, and you've got to give her confidence and back her, and we do that with her ability. So there's no second questions to put her on Rocker Band. I
think we won 3 in a row, and I was not getting off her in a hurry, that's for sure. And she did a great job. She had a few wee tricks too. She could over race a little bit, and she sort of runs around in that a little bit, but that's just her, and I got to know her in that, and she's unreal speed, saved up for one run. She's as quick as anything I've ever driven.
It's Rocker Band called upon now. Inside run for Graduate under fire. Tattengero's starting to win into the lead of Rocker Band. She gets inside the 100 metres. Graduate under fire into second. She's doing it easy now, Rocker Band. She's too good in the prelude. Nervous times on the bend though. Second over Graduate under fire. Third Tattengero's.
Group 2 place behind the upset winner in Tango's Delight and the Premier Mears, and then she went north and she went a pretty good race behind Lusty Mac, didn't she? Yeah,
that's right. She went up there, and the first time up round there, it was new for her, and she'd been there before, but new for me, and it takes a while to get used to going that way around, and to be fair, I got a little bit lost, but to come back and run in the money the next time up there was good, and good confidence booster for both of us really.
On the Towns in the clear, and Rocker Band down the outside, Miss Daisy and behind, Lusty Mac 100 to go. Rocker Band comes strongly now on the outside, Lusty Mac a length, Rocker Band, and on the Town, Lusty Mac too strong. Lusty Mac beats Rocker Band on the Town third.
She turned that around quickly because she went back for the Speed Series final, didn't she, down south?
Yeah, that was only 6 or 7 days later. We flew her home and then trucked her down there, and that just shows you, how tough she is too, to, back up a week later, one end of the island to the other, and to come out and win the final. It was super.
Rocker Band a length clear. Motu Moonbeam and Picabello give chase. A bit further back behind them is Myrona Gold. Have a bow peep at this. Rocker Band too good here. Rocker Band down to the line, gets there nicely a little over a length. On Motu Moonbeam, Picabella was third, fourth over is
She had a pretty good grounding, didn't she, that season for the ultimate goal, which was the Harness Jewels. In between that last run and the Jewel, she did have 2 or 3 workouts to keep ticking her over. Where were your confidence levels, particularly after the barrier draw had come out for the Harness Diamond?
Initially, I was pretty disappointed because she's got unreal gate speed, and just to draw it on the second row, I thought was the wrong draw for us to start with. But as the week went on, and the horse that we followed out, Miss Daisy, it raced it up north the week before, and blasted the gate and led from outside the gate and led up and won. So our tune had changed a little bit, and we thought, hang on, we're not following out the worst one here. It's got gate speed, and over a mile, you usually need to be handy. And yeah, so going into it, I was more than happy with the draw, and like Mark had done his part and had her spot on, and had driven her in the workout the week before, and he rang up and said that he was really happy with her. So I couldn't ask for any more than that. It was sort of had done his part, and it was sort of up to me now.
Yeah, it was one race we probably thought we could win when a few injuries to the main rivals kind of happened and that. So it was kind of the goal for her the whole season. She had missed the early part of the season, so it was probably the main goal for the year.
Did you have to explain to Greg Brodie why you weren't driving this horse, or was it just a case of he just allows you to do what you want to do?
Greg's an unbelievable owner, and he just backs what we kind of say. And he knew he likes drivers that look after horses, and that's one thing Sam does. And he had full confidence, and he's never had an issue with a driver, and never will. So as long as they look after the horses, Greg's happy, and that's one thing Sam does.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's crown some champions. Jules Day 2016 are go. Miss Daisy, Lusty Mac out fast, and Democrat Party will settle down third. Back on the inside, Rocker Band. Lightning Mac's got a lovely drag through from the second line.
It was an interesting one because won the second row, you guided what happens in front of you. We thought the one horse might lead, and things changed during the race, and the good thing Sam done is she made the decision coming off the back that was winning the race, and that's just a bit of confidence. And it was quite interesting going down there. We travelled together, and we didn't really talk much about the race because there's nothing to talk about. It was what was going to happen, but that was the winning of the race at the 600 metres, and she pulled the right rein.
Yeah, I was actually at home and glued to the TV, and I was doing a fair bit of yelling, and she was a bit boxed in there, and I'm yelling at the TV, get out, and he was like, my God, how did you get out of there? And just yelled all the way down, and I was just so proud. This is my daughter, she's just won the jewels, how exciting, yeah. When they kept going round and handing up, I couldn't believe it really, and especially down the back straight when I was, full fence, and I thought, oh gosh, what are we going to do here? And then, the opportunity come to pop off one, which we did, and they'd gone that hard, which had suited her. She hadn't had a chance to, get keen like she can do. But when I popped off, she did grab the bit, and I thought, there's 3 wide trains outside me, and it's not going anywhere at this stage. But again, you do need a little bit of luck in big races like that. You need horsepower, but you do need luck too, I feel. And around the bend, I managed to push off, and but still, looking up, they were a long way ahead of me, and it's sort of a short straight there at Cambridge. But she'd done no work, and just the speed of the race, it all worked out, and she just flew down the outside, and huge thrill.
Better Be Amazed goes for Diamond Glory on the town. Democrat Party on the passing lane. Better Be Amazed, Democrat Party on the town, and here's Rocker Band, Sam Ottley with a barnstorming run down the outside. Rocker Band, Expressive Victor late. Rocker Band in 153.4 from Expressive Victor. They were followed Democrat Party.
I was pretty shocked really after the line. It's a Group 1 race, and Jules Day is, there's a lot of hype around it, and it seems to be just as big as Cup Day these days. And the most memorable thing was actually you, Greg, when you come back into scale, and as a kid you watch the races and watch all the big ones, and I see you go out there and interview them, and I thought, oh my gosh, he's coming to me to talk to me, and we've actually done this.
I want to talk to you about Mark Jones, a world driving champion himself. This is a truly remarkable show of gratitude to you to leave you on this horse in the Group 1 and right throughout the season.
That's right. I don't know why he's not out here more himself, because I think he's one of the best, and to give me the opportunity to drive these horses is, I owe him a heap really, and especially to put me on this mare, she's a lovely mare, and hey, he could have quite easily put himself on today, and I would have had no problems with it, because it's a Group 1 race, and she had a good shot, but yeah, so huge thanks to you, Mark.
Just the second female driver to drive a Harness Jewels winner. Congratulations, Samantha.
Thank you very much, Greg.
Like I say, I was sort of lost for words really. I couldn't believe it had happened, and yeah, like you say, for me to be out there driving and Mark to be in the stand when he's a world champion driver on his own is it's sort of unbelievable really, to think the opportunities that he's given me and the horses that he's put me on is, yeah, a huge thrill really. Like you sort of can't really believe it sometimes.
Your first Harness Jewels as a trainer, were you more satisfied for her as much as yourself?
Oh, it's great for her just to see the smile on her face, and she's worked very hard like a lot of young people do, but to win a Group 1, give her a first one was very satisfying, and probably also all the people around her that were happy for her as well. So I think it's a big buzz for everybody, Greg Brady included, and just to see a smile on the face after the races, makes you know you've done your job properly.
It says a lot that Mark can sit back and give her most of her drives. That tells it all really, and you just don't do that with most people. Yeah, I watched that race very carefully. I talked to her before the race and she said I could end up 3 back in the fence, and I said it's not the worst place to be around Cambridge. I said I'd sooner be there than 3 wide, and I think she ended up 4 back, and I thought, she's up against it now, but everything fell into place a wee bit, but again she did a little.
Stevie, when you laid eyes on this fair maiden, I understand it was more a friendship for a very long time.
Yeah, sort of. There was one night, I think I might have even still been at school, and Sam was travelling up to from Orari to the cadets and that, and we sort of got chatting and that. She probably thought I was a bit of a plonker, but yeah, as time went on, we sort of just things happened that we always ended up together going to Forbury and stuff like that, and got a bit closer, and then we ended up being real good mates. And like one day she rang me asking for some advice about what jobs and that, what I thought, and I said, well, it's quite special that you can do that. And yeah, so then from there I sort of just grew a little bit closer to her, and seeing as she was at the Duns and I made my move to Greg and Nina's, I purchased the property out there, and she moved in, and then from there it's all history really, and yeah.
What about this relationship with Stevie Golding? How did this come about?
Good question, Greg. I suppose we've always known each other for a long time. Yeah, we were sort of like best mates, to be fair, for a long time, and then it just sort of progressed from there really. Yeah, I always thought he was this goofy boy that we were just best mates, but then yeah, I suppose they say that if you're such good friends it usually can work out pretty good in a relationship too, so yeah, that's just the way it's gone.
I'm really proud of her. She's done a good job, and yeah, she's been better than me for a while, but no, I hope she carries on too. She's doing a good job. Well,
you're immersing your talents in other areas. Real estate's what you're also doing, but we find you in the kitchen, and there's a good reason for that. You don't mind yourself culinary-wise, do you?
Yeah, no, I actually quite like a bit of a cook. I've actually cooked you something today, Greg. I'll just grab them for you.
Rightio. What have you managed to procure for us?
Got some sausage rolls here for you, mate.
Yeah, not too bad either.
And oh, some chocolatey clears for you.
You really have been slaving away for us. Nice work. Appears the talent that Samantha suggested you've got is there.
Yeah. No, it's all good.
Where does that come from?
No, Dad, he's a cook in our house when we were growing up and that. Mum can cook, but yeah, Dad's always said, make sure you provide tea every night, so that's where that comes from.
Life is a-changing though, Sam. You're now an engaged woman, and you and Stevie have purchased a property, so you're really ensconcing yourself for the future in this game, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right. Like, I love it. I really, really enjoy the driving, and I can't see myself giving that up for a long time yet. And yeah, we just purchased a property that's set up for the horses. So in time, hopefully, your goal is to train a couple of our own, and just go from there and see what happens really.
Well, you've really landed on your feet then, haven't you? Now, this is the property that was operated by Greg Payne?
Yep. He's still here at the moment, just training a few, but he's moved on to a bigger place up in Dunsandel, so he can set up things up there. This is only 20 acres, but it's perfect for us in our age, and and especially with Denise coming up, she's been that far away from Sam, and I think it does play on Sam a bit, so to have her 100 metres away in her own little flat, it's not too close, but it's also not too far away, so it's good.
Can you believe it? Stevie obviously hasn't heard of mother-in-laws from hell. But no, very, very lucky that they've brought me on board, and hopefully I'm helpful to them, and I'm sort of working one of Sam's here for her, which is a bit nutty, so I'm sorting it out. But yeah, no, it's working out really well, and it's a lovely property. Yeah, no, Greg's got it set up real well, Greg Payne has, yeah.
Your time at the beach now spent with Regan Todd, who's got his own setup there now, as well as combining some of Mark's horses too. Would you like to continue your association out there?
Yeah, I would. I do love the beach training and that. Like, you know, you can't beat it getting out there on a nice day. You know, even on a not so nice day, you know, the beach is awesome. And you know, like Regan's been really good to me too, and given me quite a few of his drives as well. And you know, I've picked up other ones by being there associated with Regan, and you know, Brendan McCullen from down south and that. And yeah, so no, things are ticking along good, and you know, I'm really pleased with the way things are going this season, and hopefully it can carry on.
How does that relationship go when you're driving the same race, and is there a little bit of decent banter between the pair of you? Does he talk to you about your drives after the races? You know, how is that a part of your relationship?
Yeah, like I always like talking about my drives and that with, you know, anybody, but it's always good to, you know, get his thoughts and that too. But yeah, when it comes to on the track and, you know, when we're competing against each other, you know, I always say there's no friends out there. Like, we're all out there for our own, and I know myself that, you know, I'm very competitive when it comes to that way, and I'm focused to be winning, yeah.
There's the passing lane for Go Girl Bromac. Wider out Price of Fame. Thanks for stopping. Go Girl Bromac getting up the inside. Thanks for stopping's got a kick, but Go Girl Bromac up the inside. Go Girl Bromac, and it's 100 for Ottley as a junior. Go Girl Bromac beats Thanks for stopping.
Sam winning 100 races as a junior driver. Never been done by a female before, but you did it at Forbury Park.
Yeah, that's right. That was actually a massive thrill for me too, even though it was down at Forbury and it was pouring with rain and freezing. But when you're, you know, doing things like that, you know, it doesn't really matter. You're sort of driving anything. And yeah, it was the Michael House trained runner, Go Girl Bromac, which was, you know, she had a great name, didn't she? And yeah, she got the money there down there in the first race, I think again it was. So yeah, super thrill that too.
It was a very big achievement, you know, and like she just kept on getting the drives. Like she's good with people too, you know, because there's a bit of behind the scenes to get these drives. So yeah, she's in people's faces saying, you know, your horse went real good, can I have the drive, sort of thing. Yep. And you know, obviously she drove well enough that they kept putting her on.
Nikki Chilcutt's up the top of the all-time winners list, over 600 wins, but to be less than a handful of female drivers to achieve that, you're a trailblazer in many ways. How does that sit with you?
Yeah, I sort of don't think about it too much until like people like you bring it up and that. But yeah, it is like a huge thrill to know that I'm up there with people like that, and you know, I'm just happy ticking away, you know, what I'm doing, and to keep ticking off milestones like that is great.
Why is Sam a good driver?
She's got a really great attitude. She's got her head screwed on properly. She puts a lot of time and effort into everything she does. She'll jump in the car and I'll drive, and the whole time she won't even, I could take her to Ashburton when we're going to Kaikoura, she'll just be looking at the race results and stuff like that. So it does come from a lot of hard work that she puts in herself, but then it comes from a lot of people that have helped her get up to that situation. Obviously Colin and her mum and everyone like that, you know, like it's huge influence on her, and I think that's what makes her not only successful but the person she is.
Does she get on the toe around decent sort of race meetings, or does she remain pretty calm through the whole process?
She gets on the toe, but I don't think it needs to have a race meeting there too. No, but she's good, and that's her, and she's got this real competitive streak to her, so everything has to be, and sometimes I get the backlash of that, but that's all right, you just sort of grin and bear it. We seem to get on pretty good anyway, have wee tiffs, but they're only over little things.
What do you think's her greatest attribute?
Well, you talk about hands in the game, and you know, I don't think there's anyone better, Greg, at getting a horse away from a stand than her. I thought I was good, but I think she's better. You know, I'd back her against, you know, the best, Dexter, Ricky or Tony or Morris. She's just gifted that way. She just knows what to do. And a lot of those races, the start's important. But she reads the race very good. She's not intimidated by the men, and she just got a desire to win. So, like a good horse, you know, she got most of it now.
And in the last couple of seasons, half of her total wins for the season have come from your barn. So this dynasty, if you like, looks likely to continue.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you know, we probably had a quieter season than normal in that, and yeah, she's driven a lot of winners for us. But it was quite interesting when we first started. She probably the first 2 weeks, she came up to me and asked me how I wanted my horses driven, and I just say, Sam, look, I've got you to drive my horses for the reason, you know, I like your way of driving. So now we've got a good understanding, and yeah, if I want something done, I'll tell her. But other than that, we've got a pretty good understanding, and you know, she doesn't make very few mistakes, and if she does, she admits to it, which is great. So I'm sure it'll continue for a long time yet.
But good drivers like her and Ricky and Dexter, they should be out there all the time. And she's up with the best, I think. You know, I think the bottom 20% of drivers could actually step aside and put the better ones on. Be better for everyone.
And she's one of those?
Without a doubt, yeah.
Couldn't be more proud. I mean, it's just unreal what she's done. Like, she hasn't come from the harness family, you know, like I'm just a battler from old time, you know, like she's had to work hard to get her drives. Like, she's earned it, you know. She hasn't really been given anything, I don't feel. I mean, lots of, you know, really good help, don't get me wrong, but she's had to earn it.
The future's pretty bright then.
Well, yeah, hopefully. Yeah, like I say, I'm happy with the way things are going, and if they can keep ticking on the way they are, you know, I'll be more than happy.